to repeat those. If you don't learn from history, you're going to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And my pledge to you as very good friends is this: as you are going to grow, and this country will grow, and it will become the leader of the world. But the question is to retain sanity in that process. Not to fall into the same mistakes that other people have done. That's why now you have, turmoil around the world. Because a lot of people, when they get in power, they think, oh, now we can do whatever we want.
What do you think we can do to keep sanity?
Education. It's very simple. It's very education.
Like humanity and philosophy, those kind of things to try to...
Those are just a portion of it. Education is the only thing that enhances the human being. It breaks the patterns that are restricting our thinking.
How do you see the education in China, India, and the US?
China is doing well. The United States is educating the elites. Like the elites are getting very, very good education. But the vast majority of the people are actually very poorly educated. You see, if I was to ask you if you know where the country of, where Australia was. Is anybody in this room that doesn't know where Australia is? On the map. Everybody knows. But if I'm to go in the United States, on the street, and ask 100 people where Canada is, where Canada is on the map, they don't know. Out of 100 people, I promise you 70 people do not know where Canada is. I promise you. Yen.
Yes, it's true. That's true. That's true.
I promise you.
They are not quite educated on geography. They don't know these things.
It's not that. It's ignorance.
Yes.
It's ignorance.
Ignorance.
They think exactly, they don't care. They don't care. So in the United States, the vast majority of the population is getting de-skilled, de-educated. Yeah? The elites are getting more and more and more money, and they are going to better and better and better schools. In China, the vast majority of the population is getting better school. You see, now I have someone that agrees with me. Oh, it's the only supporter I have. No, let her say something. It's the only supporter I have. And in India, the vast majority of the people would like to have education, but they don't have the possibility, because it's But there are people emerging. I teach in India. I teach classes. I taught there for the last 7-8 years, and I see a desire for people to emerge. And let me tell you something. There are so many people that are wealthy in India beyond anybody's imagination. You think there are wealthy people in China? Yes, there are a few. There are a few, like you have the guy from Tencent. What's the guy from Tencent? No, it's not Jack Ma. Jack Ma is Ma. It's also Ma. There are 2 Ma's. Anyhow, so there's some. But you know what? In India, there are people like Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh Ambani spent. Do you guys understand 1 billion? Yeah. $1 billion on his house. All cash. $1 billion on his house. Sorry? Billion, not million. Billion. 1,000 millions.
That's a small country's GDP.
Yes. So when you have that kind of wealth, but you see, he lives in Mumbai. Have you been in Mumbai? You see, when you go through the slums of Mumbai, you don't even want to be there for 1 second. And this guy is driving a Rolls Royce through the slum of Mumbai. So what good does that do? That's the difference between the standard of living of one person and the quality of life for the whole country. And the Chinese government has done a wonderful job in improving the quality of life for the whole people. It's not about one guy driving a Rolls Royce and everybody else living in squalor, like in abject poverty. It's about raising the whole people to live. It's interesting. I'm going to get back to this exact thing. There's an old saying which says, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with that? Knowledge is power. Yeah. You see, I completely disagree with that. And I'm going to tell you, I disagree with the fact that knowledge is power. Actually, it is, but I disagree. I think it is the dissemination of knowledge that's powerful. Dissemination of knowledge. In other words, sharing the knowledge with people, that's what's powerful. When you get people to learn, to understand things, that empowers everybody. Absolutely. And empowerment and enable. You enable people by giving them the tools to do it. You see, I always make this analogy. If someone gave you a tool, is that an enablement? The answer is it depends. If the task is to nail one nail in the wall, and they gave you a pair of scissors, that's not enablement. If the task is to cut an intricate form from a piece of paper, and they give you a hammer, that's not enablement. So it's not about giving any tool, it's about giving the appropriate tools. So how do you take people to provide them now, to enable them, to provide them with the correct tools, and also to empower them through authority, to giving people the authority to do things. That's another thing. So I honestly see in China, definitely the educational system is probably the most appropriate for the vast majority of the people. It's not the most appropriate for the richest guys in the country, and it's probably not the most appropriate for the poorest people in the country. But to get the whole country as a whole to emerge, I think the Chinese government is doing a fantastic job, honestly.
Thank you. But most Chinese people, they don't think they get the...
Well, because you are looking at, where is my thing? Okay, let me see. Because you are looking at this, and you are seeing just one dimension.
Yeah, many people do like...
You are looking at this, and you are seeing just one dimension. You are not seeing the other side. See? And remember that there is also an edge. You see this edge?
It's white.
The truth is usually on the edge. It's neither on that side nor on that side. So you need to kind of think from different perspectives. One of the most important things that us as human beings should do is to think. Many people think that they're thinking, but in actuality, they're not thinking. I have 5 more minutes, or not?
You have 5 more minutes, then we go into the next session of roundtable, the extra time.
I've spoken so many, I've said so many things. Any other questions? So, did I manage? So, US, good education for the top, relatively poor education for the masses. India, relatively bad education, but they want to improve it. There needs to be a more of a governmental intervention in that. The one big problem in India is corruption. Corruption is very, very big, and that keeps people backwards. You see, instead, if you drive 120 kilometers on the highway and the police stops you, the fine is 3,000 Indian rupees. 3,000 Indian rupees is about 300 yuan. Not that much. But what the people do is they give the cop 200 rupees, 20 yuan, and then they take off. In the education system, is the same. The government puts money into education, but the money goes to other people. They pay some other, instead of paying the educators, the instructors and whatever, they pay some other, yeah.
I have a little question. I would like to know the crossover of companies into international business. Do we see more Chinese companies abroad integrating the international business, or more Indian companies abroad integrating the international business?
Historically, the Chinese companies have been trying to expand outwards, historically. But in the next 2 decades, I see the Indians exploding. The rate of growth, that's an awesome question. The rate of growth from the Indian companies wanting to do business overseas is like phenomenal. And even in this country. And that's what I'm trying to say here. In a sense, this country needs to embrace the possibility of doing business with this country. It's a tremendous opportunity, and you need to capitalize on that.
And the second question, if I may.
Only if you promise to buy me like a beer later on.
No problem with that. By Joe.
Not by Joe. No, not by Joe. Pijo. Bing Pijo.
Nice beer.
Yes, my second question. Where is the problem there? Where is the problem?
Oh.
Well, why Chinese companies cannot integrate the international business like the Indian company does? Why is it?
Wow.
That's wonderful. Like 2 wonderful questions. The Chinese people are very conservative. Very conservative.
But I heard you just saying that the Indian population is very conservative too.
It's not the population, the customs, the traditions. That's what keeps them in check. But the population is trying to break out of the mold. Is trying to break the pattern. It's difficult because you see, my students in India, they want to learn, they want to do things, but their grandparents are saying, wait a second, education is for stupid people, it's for idiots. Why the hell do you need education? Why, in my time, we used to go to school uphill and we come back home also uphill. It's like, I don't know where the school was located, but you understand what I'm saying? So it's that kind of, they want to, but in China, there is a lot of, people are conservative, and as much as you think that the Chinese people are open to doing business, they're very afraid of risk. As a matter of fact, the Chinese people are very risk adverse. Very risk adverse. If I want to, just a second, baby. If I want to buy something from a company, from any one of you that manufacture anything, you say 30% TT upfront.
That's it.
That's the risk aversion. Now, of course, you don't know who's at the other end of you don't know if you send him like 1 container of furniture, how are you going to be guaranteed that you're going to get the money from that guy? But at the same time, there are people on the other face of the planet who are going to say, what if I pay this guy the money and then he sends me 1 container worth of, I don't know, shredded newspaper instead of action cameras?
No. I'm not doing that with Indians.
Could it be that this risk aversion, or the mentality of being afraid of the risk,